I'm Luke Summerhaze, and I love Skitty. Foxtail grasses are species of grass with a big, sometimes quite spiky, seed pod at the tip. Some species have sharp barbs which can stick to clothes, irritate skin, and be poisonous to dogs. Others have a fluffier, more appealing kind of seed cluster, which makes the name seem much more appropriate. And they really do look like the tails of foxes. In Japan, big clusters of foxgrass are a common sight on riverbanks and untended hillsides. With many long grasses ending in feathery tips, the image makes me think of a hail of arrows that has been embedded in the ground after a fierce samurai battle. As they sway in the wind though, they are actually quite peaceful. That image of a patch of foxgrass rustling quietly is an immediate giveaway that a game or movie is set in feudal Japan. The Japanese name for this kind of grass is enokorogusa, combining grass with an old word for puppy. Whether it's a foxtail or a puppy's tail, it isn't hard to see how this grass inspired a Pokémon. Skitty is that Pokémon, an adorable pink and yellow cat with a half-moon face, stubby little legs, and a puffy end to its tail that looks very much like some foxtail grass. While the English name is a simple mix of kitty and skittish, Skitty's Japanese name is Eneko, combining Enokorogusa with Neko, the Japanese for cat. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole Pokémon was created just for this pun. Oddly enough, Skitty is not even remotely a grass type, despite its inspiration. Speaking of skittishness, Skitty's Pokédex entries mostly just describe its cute, playful behaviour. Pokémon Ruby tells us, Skitty has the habit of becoming fascinated by moving objects and chasing them around. This Pokémon is known to chase after its own tail and become dizzy. Sapphire tells us, Skitty is known to chase around playfully after its own tail. In the wild, this Pokémon lives in holes in the trees of forests. It is very popular as a pet because of its adorable looks. Skitty's cuteness was of course on full display in the anime, in which Mei caught a Skitty, who would often cause minor mischief and need rescuing. Perhaps Skitty will need a little less rescuing when, after exposing it to a moonstone, it evolves into Delcatty. Delcatty has more lithe proportions, with slender legs and a longer body, more like an adult cat than a kitten. The tail still has a fluffy tip, though the seed-like pods which protruded from Skitty's tail now poke from a ruff around Delcatty's neck. The cute pink has been replaced with a regal purple. Delcatty has the haughty air of an aristocat, and the Pokédex confirms it. Pokémon Ruby tells us, Delcatty prefers to live an unfettered existence, in which it can do as it pleases at its own pace. Because this Pokémon eats and sleeps whenever it decides, its daily routines are completely random. And Sapphire tells us, Delcatty sleeps anywhere it wants, without keeping a permanent nest. If other Pokémon approach it as it sleeps, this Pokémon will never fight. It will just move away somewhere else. And Pokémon Fire Red and Leaf Green tell us, the favourite of trend-conscious female trainers. They are used in competition for their style and fur. The English name combines delicate with cat, perhaps referring to the way a pet like this likes to be treated. The Japanese name, Enekororo, anyway, combines the previous name and incorporates Kokoro, the Japanese for heart. Either way, these are the adorable names for an adorable cat. The talk of it being a prized and popular pet does not ring false. Delcatty is far from a competitive powerhouse, though its unique ability Normalize does give it some interesting options. Normalize converts any move to the normal type, and in later generations also adds a 20% attack boost. While this is not massively useful for dishing out a wide range of damaging attacks, it can be used to do interesting things, like paralysing ground-type monsters with Thunder Wave. As a pair of normal types with no competitive niche, Skitty and Delcatty are the kinds of Pokémon that boring types might describe as dex filler. But they are both adorable, and as with so many Pokémon, they have a surprisingly interesting origin. Long may our dexes be filled with Pokémon like these. Music for Luke Loves Pokémon was composed by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. Writing, editing and producing is all by me, Luke Summerhays, and costs are covered by my lovely supporters on Patreon. If you like this podcast, please rate and review on whatever podcast app you're listening through, and please tell your Pokémon-loving friends. The podcast can be found on Twitter and Facebook at LukeLovesPKMN, so why not get in touch? The next two monsters are going to be really interesting, Sableye and Mawile, so please get in touch with your thoughts about those or any other monsters. Lastly, as I mentioned, this podcast is supported by Patreon. If you want to listen to episodes early and help keep the show hosted online, visit patreon.com/podcastiopodcastius. And if you have an idea for something I could offer that would make you interested in signing up, Twitch streams, Q&As, videos, or content on wider topics, please let me know. And even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much just for listening. I love Skitty, and remember, I love you too.